Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Bonnenfant joins us. He's the project manager for the Center for Regional Studies at UNR. Here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday. Trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are pleased to welcome back to the program Bonnenfant. He is the project manager for the Center for Regional Studies at UNR. A busy job for you these days as this area is just exploding. What are your thoughts?
Well, you'd be surprised to learn that we didn't really grow as fast as we thought. If we compare to the 2000s, before the Great Recession, we grew a lot faster. So our population,
really?
Yes, in Washoe County, we grew 82,000 between 2000 and 2010, and then between 2010 and 2020, we grew 65,000. So that was a 2.2% annual population growth versus a 1.4. And this is the decennial 100% count population stats from the Census Bureau. So where they go around and they count everybody every 10 years.
So does this say that all the new businesses that came in, including Tesla, actually hired people from within the region rather than importing a whole bunch of people?
No, it doesn't say that. It just says
Darn.
that we grew differently.
Okay.
Right?
In what way?
And first way is residentially, how we grew residentially. So last couple, 5, 8 years, half of the growth was in apartments, multifamily units, whereas in the 2000s it was almost all single family. So it's sort of a perception thing now when we drive around, and it's a lot of infill growth that we're seeing. So these old fields that old locals used to see, they're now 4, 5, 6-story rise apartments has that perception on us that, boy, we're really growing. So we're getting this growth in our face versus out in the suburbs in that sprawl more so. The other driver is, yes, all this industrial construction. So yes, we grew within footprinting of development of infrastructure or industrial properties. We're seeing that in North Valleys and of course in the Tri-Center and whatnot. So that adds to that. The walls are closing in because we're seeing big walls being put up. I guess the third kind of factor that we're seeing is the demographic shifting. So we're getting, the boomers are retiring. And so now they're on the roads a lot more. And then the other factor in this feeling of growth is the infrastructure, specifically the road networks. We haven't grown that as much as we've grown the population, right? So we're adding more population to the existing roads. And that's causing that experience of feeling higher growth than what we're seeing in the numbers.
Okay, if Congresswoman Dina Titus were sitting at the table here, she'd say infill is good, infill growth.
Regional planning has been trying to push development within the McCarran Ring for 20 plus years. And so we're seeing that. And that really got kicked off with the city of Reno's 1,000 units in 120 days, some 5-6 years ago when Tesla started really growing. And that really kicked off. Those incentives really set off this infill, mostly multifamily within the McCarran Ring. And so like on our maps of when we track development, residential development footprints, 10 years ago, when you look on that map within the McCarran Ring, there would be no dots, no footprints on there. Now it's heavy footprinting within the McCarran Ring, again, mostly apartments.
Okay, and just for our Southern Nevada folks who are listening and watching, the McCarran Ring would be similar to the 215 in Las Vegas.
The Beltway,
and,
right.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, when you go back, 30, 40 years to when McCarran was being built, there was a huge fight in West Reno to not allow it to go through the southwest portion of town. Can you imagine if that had not, the courage of the commission at that time, the RTC, to actually push that through? Thank goodness for that.
Absolutely, and you know, think about the train trench downtown.
Right.
You know, all these infrastructure that we did bite off on, that was a big fight, big gamble, you know, big debate. We have to do these things, and you know, I think the next really argument is how do we get out to the Tri-Center in a better, efficient way. And so we have to take these, you know, these infrastructure projects, the big bite-offs, very seriously. And you know, there's a lot of pushback on growth. People, you know, the old-timers,
right,
locals don't want this growth, and you know, they want status quo. But you know, it's out of everybody's hands. You know, the train left the station with the EV world we've got in our backyard and renewables, and some of these other economic clusters that are growing our region. So there's really no pushing back on that. So we have to be smart with efficient growth and within the infrastructure.
Okay, so if you take a look at I-80, going from Sparks out to TRI, what do you want to see there? Because the mayor of Sparks is looking at building a road, if we can get that lands bill, from TRI into Sparks, more than he's looking at expanding I-80. And there's a big discussion. Some people say, yes, you can expand I-80. Others say, not so much.
It's a tough one, and it's going to cost a lot of money. I call that, you know, the Apple to La Posada, the $1 billion road. I think that's how much you're going to be looking at when you finally get there.
Billion.
If you look at the pyramid renovation or expansion right now, that bill's $700 million just to widen and then connect 395 to Pyramid Highway. That's a $700K improvement. So imagine going from 80 up through the hills, you know, right-of-ways, you know, all that concrete and construction and tying that in. So how do we pay for that? And is that the most efficient model? Of course, Sparks wants, you know, industrial along that route to kind of tie into the Tri-Center activity. But there's, you know, other options on the table, I guess. Widening the 80. They were looking at roads from South Meadows up through Loustown Road and into that. Or do we look at adding housing into more of that area of the Tri-Center? Into
Story County?
Correct.
Good luck with that.
Right. I know that's been hashed around a lot, but you know, there is quite a lot of talk around the new pond out there that they fill with effluent out of Tom Wharf, that you know, there's residential that can be put in there. That would go against the developer's handbook that was agreed to in 2001, so that would need to be amended to allow full-time residents. That could impact that heavy manufacturing industrial in that park. So there's a lot of questions on how you bring that housing. Do you bring more housing into Fernley, down USA Parkway, into Silver Spring Stagecoach? or do we build roads and put cars on it and drive all day? So those are these regional questions that we need solutions, and we need everybody at the table, all counties, all planning, and really look at that.
Okay, so you've got plans, well, some you've already got going. The Victory Logistics Park in Fernley is already booming.
Yep.
You've got TRI-2 that's looking to go into just outside of Fernley. You've got the Hazen project. So you have a lot of projects there. But you also have the West Adams property, which is on the eastern border of Story County going into Lyon County. That's 20,000 acres they've been sitting on since about 2005. The Dermody is currently starting to develop there. So you're already pushing out towards Silver Springs. You've got Microsoft's 350 acres at Silver Springs for a data center. So isn't that the natural plan to go out towards 50 that way?
If we have the water.
That's true.
That's the issue with Silver Springs. They don't have the water. There's talk about bringing the Carson Valley, a water pipe coming in from Carson Valley and extending that into Stagecoach, Silver Springs. But Lyon County has voiced that they don't want to be a bedroom community to Reno Sparks. They want to grow, symmetrically with commercial and industrial and be smart, not just be a bedroom community. So they voiced that, some pushback on just being the housing solution to the Tri-Center and Reno Sparks growth. So to do that, this Lyon County's got to be involved with this whole solution also, and we're going to need water. We're going to need an extension of water pipes, and that means growth to these rural areas who, these people are in 1 acre, 2 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre lots that just do not want Reno Sparks type of, urbanized living.
Yeah, I was talking to some folks in Fallon yesterday, and the need for housing there, just with the expansion of the base and how limited their housing is there. And they're saying every time somebody comes in to build multifamily, they get shot down because the landowners don't want it.
That and D.R. Horton just finished a project down in Fallon, very successful, sold out, and now they need land, and now they're run up against the Tesla prices on land, and this is an issue throughout.
Explain that.
Once Tesla was announced and they brought all these employees, and Tesla pays $42 an hour right now, so everybody kind of did this Tesla pricing on land and their houses, especially land. And so this is really impacting residential development and the cost. And this is most of it gets passed on to the consumer. This is why our housing costs are so high, is because land prices are super high. So D.R. Horton wants to do more in Fallon, but their land prices are causing their financials not to pan out to do the development. And so until those land prices drop in Fallon, they're not going to build. And so,
is there any reason to even imagine that those prices would drop when the bases already not even started their expansion?
Well, that's the piece they're looking at's been sat on for quite a while from outside investors that are just sitting on it, and they're paying property taxes. So, boy, I don't know how you can kind of bring them to the table and make them understand that prices should cool a little bit allow for some development, or it's just going to stay sagebrush. So this is kind of the whole regional. When do these prices at all levels with land, material costs, labor costs, to finally ease the housing costs that we're experiencing? When is this going to really subside? And
do you think that that's even a reality? Because isn't that what has been occurring, which is that we had this inflation caused by all this money being poured into the economy, and if you look for, even if you just had in quotes a normal year, the Fed rate is 2% target for inflation. So at the end of 5 years, that's going to be a 10% increase. Compound the interest over 10 years, and it starts to go way up. So aren't we stuck with these prices? I mean, I don't think that we're suddenly going to start seeing people being paid less, cost of housing going down, unless there's a recession and people start getting desperate.
My fear is yes, that if you look at the California history of Bay Area, LA, Inland Empire, where it just crept forever, and now you got $1 million houses in the suburbs of just a normal ranch house is $1 million. that's where we're going, unfortunately. And so, but we've got technology, right? We got innovation to try to help mitigate this, and so this has got to go into the building, the construction side of modular building, right? How do we do a better job with handling these costs on materials? I don't know about the labor. If the labor we're ever going to get, that's always going to be there at this level, and it's going to creep up, 3% along with the inflation. So it's got to go into the materials. Is how we got to reinvent how we build. We're still building like we built 100 years ago, with a lot of this residential. And we've talked a lot about this modular and how to get this innovation going, and we're really not seeing it yet.
Well, it better be coming, and better be coming soon for our area. Let's take a break, and we'll come back more with Brian Bonnenfant after this timeout.
It's a good time to eat.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, /bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
It's a good time to play.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
It's a good time to win.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Brian Bonnenfant. He is the project manager for the Center for Regional Studies at UNR. So you're talking about water. So one of the discussion points has been Winnemucca Farms and the idea of taking water, the excess water that's pumped out of the mines up in northeast Nevada, into the Humboldt River, and being able to utilize that and for sale and potentially bringing it down. How realistic do you think that is, knowing the water war is in Nevada?
Yeah, it's. I think that's a Hail Mary. So there's laws against interbasin transfers. State engineers have to sign off on all this. When Vegas tried to get the water from Ely, from those ranches, and even Utah jumped in and fought that. And so there's a law against moving water from basin to basin. So that's a big hump to get over. And they're also finding at the state level is all this paper water rights is not really the reality of what's in the ground. And so when Tri-Center bought this last tranche of water rights, on paper they paid for so many acre feet, but they actually delivery was actually just 2/3 of that. Because that's just how the math works. So we got a lot of learning and pivoting to do with water. And we're in a really solid place in the Truckee Meadows. Tomah's probably one of the best water utilities in the nation. Working with Army Corps, we're doing this really innovative stuff out of American Flats. I've taken Swan Lake, largely affluent water, piping it up to American Flats to an alfalfa farm and injecting it into aquifers, which cleans the water. Then you get to use that water for ag. And if you look at the basins of water supply that Tomah has, all the way out to Jackson Meadows, that area, Weber Lake, and then Donner, we've got a lot of water banking going on. So Truckee Meadows is very solid.
Isn't it like about an 11-year drought supply?
I think it's longer than that.
Really?
I think it's supposed to cover, about 70,000 new persons at just current way we use. And, when I drive here and go down McCarran and see all this water on medians and ornamental grass that makes no sense whatsoever, we've got a long ways to learn how to use water, potable water properly.
Don't you think that we should really be taking a cue from the Southern Nevada Water Authority? And, because one of the things about saving water in Reno is if you save the water, it just goes down to the Truckee River and then will end up in Pyramid Lake, which is fine and, good news for the tribe. But you're right, we do waste a lot of water.
Yeah. If you have excess in the Truckee, then they can, water masters can allocate that to still water. They do that often to keep the migratory fowl in place and healthy out there. And so if you have access in the Truckee, you can, make claims on that and divert that, to Derby Dam or whatnot. So yeah, absolutely, we absolutely need to get a handle on this ornamental grass that we're not using. And so that's when I look at, when we talk about water and how we're running out of water, it's like, well, we have a lot of easy, low-hanging fruit that we can attack right now to help the water supply.
Right, without them having to pay, X amount of water for pulling out yards.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find interesting, and we don't need to go into this deeply, but as long as the Southern Nevada Water Authority still owns those ranches in eastern Nevada, then I think that, 50 years from now, that water could still end up going to Las Vegas.
Things can change, right? Policies change, ordinances change. That's what we're going to take to get rid of ornamental grass, is have the local governments not require 10-15% landscaping on every industrial footprint. And so they're forced to put in trees and shrubs and grass because of what the local governments require. And so policies, government, leadership changes. So yes, there's always that threat that those pipes can get full from Ely. However, you got such a substantial group of environmentalists in our area that just the lands bill, the Truckee Meadows lands bill, is such a fight, an uphill battle because of the environmental concerns. And so,
do you ever look at this, and feel free to completely ignore this question, but do you ever feel that there are certain, in quotes, environmentalists who just don't want humans to be involved, that it doesn't matter that we're trying to do green energy, but there's a thing against this and a thing against that. Doug Cannon was here on the program from MB Energy just a couple of weeks ago, talking about there's a few environmentalists that they have to deal with, but it's not the majority, because they're trying to get things done that are green energy. But it seems like humans know everything else. Yes.
Yes, I don't. It's just. I guess this is part of that growth. So now we're this big, almost metropolis. So with that, we get more of that, the naysayer NIMBY. We get more NIMBYism. What really surprised me is groups like Burning Man, who just pushed back and basically got the geothermal exploration drilling wells up around Gerlach. They got Washington County Commission to deny that. And that's on public land. It's not even on Burning Man's land.
It's mind-blowing. Listen, we got to take a quick break here. We'll be right back.
It's the $100,000 Cash is King Progressive giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Giveaways every Saturday with a Progressive up to $20K and $15,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. There's another 100,000 reasons to play and win at the Carson Valley Inn.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. For workwear and everyday wear, evaporative coolers, outdoor living, Weber's, Traeger's, and Lodge. Fill your propane tanks here. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the do-it-right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today. at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers with Brian Bonnenfant. He is project manager for the Center for Regional Studies at UNR. So Tesla, with their new EV factory for trucks, is putting in RV parking so that people will have a place to live. Is that the future in places like Story County that don't want housing, is to have RV parks?
I think that's that's the model that we use out in the mines. Right, you do some man camps, and when you need that, quick housing, you got to do something, and so that does make sense. With Story County, within that developer's handbook, within the Tri-Center, you can do the short term. You got the motels in there that are, long-term stays they call them. Do 29 out of 31 days or something like that. So yeah, that's the solution that they use, in the Northeast around the mines, and because we can't build enough housing and the cost of construction, that you're going to start seeing, the man camps. When these mines, lithium goes in Winnemucca and down in Goldfield and Tonopah, you're going to have the same issues.
We're going to Thacker Pass next week to tape some shows.
Oh, wow.
So please stand by for that. Brian, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Come back soon because I got like 1,000 more questions.
Great. Thanks, Sam.
And we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next broadcast.